Hello everyone, Goddess Megan here for my second Q&A video, and it only took 2 years. I did originally plan to do these on a regular basis, but unfortunately it didn't happen for a number of reasons, but we won't get into that. Hopefully I will be doing these more regularly. Obviously that depends on you guys for coming up with questions for me to answer. So, okay, without further ado, we will start. I only have questions from one person right now. There's a few of them, but there should be at least somewhat long answers because he asked for a number of things. So these are from DJ Subtract from the My Geek Goddess website. First, he asks, what are your top 10 favorite horror movies in no particular order? This is kind of a difficult one for me because horror movies are my absolute favorite. Not only do I love being scared and I love suspense and, just being afraid of the dark, if they can manage to do that, when the horror movies are awful, they're still really hilarious, which I love. So, I have a number of them. I kind of had to, sit and think about this beforehand. So we've got Nightmare on Elm Street, which is, I've been watching it since I was 3, which I think is when it came out. Yes, my mother was letting me watch horror movies when I was a little girl. And that's why I'm so well-rounded now. So the Nightmare on Elm Street, we'll go with the first one, but honestly, let's just take the whole series because nostalgia-wise and Freddy Krueger is just one of the best villains ever. He's hilarious, and dying in your dreams, and, if you die in your dreams, you die in real life, that's always going to be scary. So, Nightmare on Elm Street, that's timeless, and we're not going to talk about the remake, because it was garbage. So, another favorite is When a Stranger Calls, and that would be the original, which was made in the 70s with Carol Kane. It's a really great one. It probably doesn't really fall under horror per se, just because it's not, there's no, blood and guts. There aren't a whole lot of jump scares. It's just this really slow burn, and it is 100% a psychological thriller, because, when you see the bad guy, you're like, what? How am I afraid of that? That's crazy. But it really does it to you, because it's, like I said, it's just average. There's no flying or monsters or supernatural. It's just a really crazy dude, and it can happen at any time to anyone, and that's scary as shit. So that one is great. Again, there's a remake. I mean, it's not that good. We also have The Orphanage, which is a Del Toro film. It is a newer one. That one is probably the first, after a very long time. When I first saw it, about 10 years ago at this point, but when I first watched it, it was the first movie in a very long time that actually scared me to the point where I was afraid to turn the lights off and be alone in the dark, which is saying a lot, because, like I said, I love horror, and at this point, and back then even, nothing really scared me. I could enjoy them. I could see how it could be scary, but it didn't last after the movie was over. And with The Orphanage, I literally, because I was living alone at the time, would, when getting ready for bed at night, would, turn the light off in the bathroom and run as quickly as possible across the hall into my bedroom, where I would, slam the door and jump up on my bed at the same time, so that, nothing could get me. Um, and yeah, it was, and I was 20 at that point, so it isn't even like I was a kid or anything. There's really no reason for it. It just did that to me. And if you've seen The Orphanage, it's not even necessarily a horror film, which makes it even better, because, again, it's more of a psychological thing. It gets in your head. It's not just relying on jump scares, and then once the movie's over, you don't care anymore. And those are kind of my favorite. So next we have Jack Frost, which is hilarious. It is so funny. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you haven't seen it, I'm not talking about the Michael Keaton one. That is a family movie. We're not talking about that. Jack Frost the horror movie is about this like serial killer who, on being transferred like to a different prison or what, like he's going to be put to death or whatever. Um, like there's a car accident and he ends up being like covered in some weird uh like radioactive stuff, whatever. Like it like melts him into the snow, which then turns into like a snowman, which comes alive and goes after the sheriff who had like originally arrested him. It's so yeah, it's a killer snowman. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. It is so funny. It is full of just awful puns. And I love it. I love it exactly for that. It's there is a sequel to it as well. And obviously it's a killer snowman, right? So you need snow. But the second one takes place in Hawaii, like where the sheriff and his family are on vacation, and there's a flash blizzard in Hawaii, which just makes it that much more ridiculous. And I love it because that's why horror is so great, because even when it's bad, it's still really good as a comedy. So the next one is Funny Man, which is a little known movie. It's I got it from like some indie thing. I had these DVDs. Very few people that I've ever talked to have ever heard of it. It's absolutely ridiculous. Christopher Lee is in it, which is awesome, except he's in it for maybe a total of like 5 minutes. It's definitely a bunch of unknowns. Like it's a kind of a B movie, I guess. But it's another one of those really hilarious, just everything is super ridiculous. So it's so much fun to watch. Definitely check that one out if you can. The next one would be The Changeling, which is an old 70s horror again. Back in the days when movies didn't rely on CGI and just ridiculousness like they kind of do nowadays. So it's another one where it's just very raw and it's a lot more psychological. And, you know, one of the only movies that has ever made me like scream out loud when like a scare happens. So really, really good. It's also fairly decent as a drama because there's like this really kind of great story to it that I really like. So that's a really good one. You'll notice that a lot of my favorites are older or are like funny. So the next one would be The Cabin in the Woods, which obviously is a much newer one, and it's Joss Whedon, and it's a comedy. It's kind of more of like an homage to horror while kind of also being a horror, but I'm sure most of you have seen it. It's absolutely hilarious. I love it. It is such a great touch on all the ridiculous stuff that happens in horror movies, like all the, oh no, I tripped, and like, let's do all these really stupid things. And you're always wondering, like, why? Who does that? Why would you do that? Oh, this is why. And that's why it's so great, because it totally makes fun of all that stuff while still taking part in all of it, which is just really great. The next would probably be Saw. That is definitely more like torture porn, obviously. Some jump scares here and there. The first one was really great. I actually do like the entire series. I think that it just came together really well. I love the way everything tied in together. The first one though was just really great. There were a lot of really unnerving scenes that weren't even jump scares necessarily, that were just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like it's just like I'm so like stressed out. And I love that. That's great. That's what horror's supposed to do. Then we have Scream. Wes Craven was a genius. And Scream is great. And it's again, like Cabin in the Woods, it's one that like kind of makes fun of horror movies and like talks about all the tropes and makes fun of all the tropes while using said tropes to further the story and to make it a good scare. And then the last one, yay, we're at 10, is The Descent, which is a really great one, about a bunch of women who go cave diving, and horrible shit happens. It's really good for a number of reasons. Not only is it just, it's really scary, it's got that great suspense. If you're anywhere near claustrophobic, and even if you're not, you're probably getting super stressed out watching this movie because they're in a cave and like half of the things that they run into are like, oh, I'm in a fucking cave. And that just stresses you out. Like even before scary things happen, that's just like, oh god. Like you imagine yourself in that situation and it's freaking you out. And then also monsters. So that one's also really good too if you see the like hidden aspect to it, which I'm not gonna ruin for you, but if you watched it and you want to talk about it, feel free to hit me up and we'll talk about that part. Okay, next question. What 9 things did you love most about the 90s? Okay, so I'm a 90s kid. I grew up in the 90s, and there's a lot that I love about it. It's mostly all horrible, because just everything that we look back at in the past is always like, what were we thinking? But some of it was really great. So cartoons were amazing back then. Okay, so like He-Man and Captain Planet and like Inspector Gadget and Rocko's Modern Life, Doug, like just so many great things. Our Real Monsters. They just don't make them like that anymore. Like most cartoons these days, especially for kids, are absolute garbage. There's some, excuse me, there's some cartoons that are for adults that are funny and good, but that used to be like the ones that they had for kids were really funny and like adults could also enjoy them. There's probably only a couple that do that now. So I also loved Nickelodeon, which will go as like a separate thing from cartoons because there was obviously more than cartoons on Nickelodeon. We have like All That, and you can't do that on television, which is super fun because who didn't want to be slimed? You've got like your Double Dare and all the other stuff. Just really fun like game shows and sketch shows and stuff like that that were a lot of fun. And a lot of our actors now that are pretty famous, of course, were on a lot of those shows. And, you know, a lot of them are also just, you know, completely on drugs and not doing very well. But, you know, that happens because child stars, they do that. So it's also just like there's a bunch of really random stuff that it's more just nostalgia. Okay, the things that I like about the 90s. So I loved having a pager. I had like little, it was like this tiny little one. Like you're used to the big, like the honking, you know, like Dr. Pagers. But I had these little ones that were like, it was like almost the size of a fun size like chocolate bar, like Snickers bar. My friends used to joke that I could lose it in a pile of leaves, which I very easily could have. And I got them and they were like purple and kind of see-through and they're really cool. But it was so much fun, like giving people their own codes. So if they paged you, they would enter their code instead of like a phone number. So you'd know who it was coming from. And then they would enter numbers that had meaning. So it's like 143 meant I love you. And there's a bunch of other stuff, but oh yeah, 823 is thinking of you. So it was this really fun thing that like, you know, couples would do. They'd like page each other and just be like, thinking of you, I love you, miss you, like all that bullshit. But instead of text messages where there was real words, you had to know like number codes for everything. And a lot of them were pretty easy, but some of them were really random. And they were just so much fun to like get to know. And it was it was really cool too, feeling like very independent, because if you're a kid with a pager, it meant that you didn't necessarily have to like call your parents at a certain time. They could just page you if they wanted to talk to you, and you know, you were like cool and you're an adult and like people got to reach you when you're out of the house. It was really fun. So I also, speaking of like 90s technology, recording things on cassette tapes. So back in the day, for those who are not aware, when we liked a song, we couldn't just look it up on YouTube. We couldn't just like download it on Napster, which actually we could later, but you know, that wasn't like in the beginning. So if you liked a song and your favorite song came on the radio or was playing on MTV, you would have to like bring your fucking boom box, which is like this big thing. If you were lucky, it was only this big, and you would like put it up to the radio or the TV, and you would hit record, and you'd have this like cassette tape in there, and it would record it, and you would hear like your mom yelling at you that it was dinner time in the background every time you listened to the song again. You know, so you'd be like jamming out and just like, and all of a sudden it's like, Megan, come get food, just like, so to the point where when you heard it not on your tape, you knew, like you heard that part in your head because you knew exactly in the song like where it came, and suddenly you were always like hungry when you listened to that song. It's just weird shit, but but it was super fun, and I actually did it on my was it like there was a tape I had. It was like the Little Monster tape. Anyway, I recorded it on this one tape that was supposed to be like yourself reading a story, but I used it to record the song from Hocus Pocus because I loved it so much. But yeah, like I just kept playing it and then recording things on tape. So much fun. And mixtapes, those were fun too. So the next thing that's super great about the 90s would be the movies, which were like the shows, you know, so great, so ridiculous. Like, okay, like Scream, obviously, was in the 90s. There are some really good ones, and there's some really awful ones. The 80s were definitely way more awful for, like, cheesy, horrible movies. The 90s was kind of coming into its own, but, like, the 90s gave us Jurassic Park, and Scream, and Titanic, and a bunch of other really great stuff. So that's another one where, like, looking back as a kid of the 90s and just feeling, like, super nostalgic, like, oh, I love this movie when I was a kid. So the next one is slap bracelets. Those things were so much fun. I would just give myself bruises up and down my arms because I would just slap them. And if you're not familiar with slap bracelets, they're literally like, they look like rulers, okay, that were like hard and stiff. And you'd hold one end and you'd slap the other end to your arm and it would roll up around your arm and become a bracelet. I don't know who came up with that idea. Like, I don't know why we thought that was cool. Like, here, abuse yourself a little bit for fashion's sake, which I guess is a fairly common sense of fashion, but they were ridiculous, and they came in like all kinds of crazy colors, but anyway, they were a lot of fun. We also have passing notes, like, and that's again a nostalgia thing, like, and there were ways that you could fold your notes and like all these special origami that like everyone knew for some reason. And like you'd have a little tab and you'd pull and it'd be like, to this person from, and you'd like give it to a friend to pass to someone else, or you'd throw it across the room, or you'd like slip it in their hand, and it was a lot of fun. Getting notes in class and, you know, just being all secretive and talking shit, or, you know, professing your love for each other. It was a lot of fun. So then, of course, there's games. Games of the 90s. So much fun. You've got your Mario games, and your Sonic games, and, like, Tetris, which is my life. And just, yeah, just so much fun. Miss them. Like, Final Fantasy IV, and, like, Chrono Triggers. I'm playing that again on my DS. And last but not least, we have the music, which, like the movies, some of it was ridiculous, some of it was really good. And it's just so hard to like get past that stuff, because, okay, I listened to Hanson, but I also listened to Manson. In fact, in my 3 CD changer, I had at one point like Hanson, Manson, and like Jewel, or like Aerosmith. Like, I listen to everything. I've always listened to all kinds of music. And music in the 90s, some of it was terrible, like any generation. Some of it was really amazing. Some of it was awesome. A lot of the artists from back then are still around. They've changed up their sounds. They're kind of still going, but like adding new stuff. But either way, it's awesome. I love them. I can probably still sing most of that stuff by heart because for some reason my memory sucks, except when it comes to lyrics. I could not hear a song for 20 years and hear it like at a store, like on the PA, and just know every word. That's my special talent. Next we have, what 8 presents would you like to receive the most this Christmas? I don't know. I'm really terrible at presents. I always kind of just like assume that I can't have things. So unless there's a thing that I like need, I generally kind of suck. So I'm always just like, I mean, like books and like movies, um, any kind of like electronics that I need replaced or something. So it actually took me a really, when it came to like making my Amazon wish list, I literally had to just come up with random shit. Like I was like, shoes. I guess I could get shoes and just go through and like add random shoes. Like, so not even necessarily things that I was like, I need this. I like had to make myself want certain things. So, on my Amazon wish list, there's like tons of pop figures. There's kigurumis, which I love. There's a bunch of like costume pieces that I need. There's shoes. There's clothes. Like houseware stuff. So all that would be good. I would love any of those things. Honestly, if anytime someone gets me something, like I super appreciate it. I would really like Mysterium and its expansion, and Betrayal House on the Hill and that expansion. Those are 2 things that I super want. Yeah, there's a bunch of games on my wish list that I super, super, super want. But honestly, if someone wants to get me something, whatever you get me, even if it's just a gift card, like I will put that to use. It is awesome. I love getting anything from anyone. Like I super appreciate it. And we have the last question, because it's going on forever. What 7 goals do you wish would come true in 2017? Okay. So the very first goal is, my roommate and I are opening up an ice cream shop, which I have a great idea for it. We're kind of already putting things in motion. The plan is to open it 2017, spring of 2017. So I really hope that happens, and I really hope it's successful. I mean, in business in general, in your first few years, if you're lucky, if you break even, I don't expect to be like a millionaire, by the end of the year. I just want it to be something that is good and is picking up traction and people like it, and it's on the right path. Like that's my goal with that. I would like to heal from this broken rib. That would be super great. Because I want to get back into working out. I started doing aerial training. So like trapeze and what's it called? Silks, aerial silks, and doing yoga. I've also been training to do a 10K in February. Hopefully I'll be healed up enough that I can actually accomplish that without dying in a couple months. I hope I will be. Like it might still hurt here and there, but at least it won't be like so broken that I'll die if I run. I don't want to do that. And let's see. So, I would really like for my art stuff, Gromides, to pick up. And for like the new lines and everything that I have for that to be popular, to be doing well. I would like my stream, because I'm going to start doing stream on Twitch to do well and be, I don't want to be famous, but I just want to be like popular. I want to want people to enjoy my stream. I don't want to be streaming to an empty room every day. I hope I'm funny and entertaining to watch. What was that? Was that 4? Was that 5? Goals. Hey, maybe I'll find love. I don't know. We'll call that a goal. Someone asked me out. And I finally get, well, probably by the end of this year, but if not this year, I would really like to get my hair dyed, because I want to do that really awesome like purple ombre. But it's like $200 because I have a lot of hair and it's a lot of work. And I'm poor right now, especially with all the medical bills, because it's like well over $20,000 at this point, probably more. So yeah, hopefully I will get to that point. Oh, I know. To get my tattoo. I have an appointment on December 1st for a consultation, and hopefully I'll be getting my tattoo like January, February, March area. That's going to be super awesome. I'm super excited for that. I'm expanding on the memorial tattoo I have. If you guys have seen it, the flowers on my side here is a memorial tattoo for my grandfather. And I'm actually going to expand on that for a few of my other family members who have unfortunately passed away as well. And it's going to be gorgeous. It's all going to be watercolor, and I'm super looking forward to getting that amazing art on my body. So, okay, so we did the 10 movies, 10 horror movies, 9 things about the 90s, 8 presents, sort of. I kind of cheated on that one. And 7 goals that I wish to come true in 2017. So, I guess that's it. It's been a 30-minute video. I hope it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I'm sorry it took 2 years to get back here. If you guys like it, please send me more questions, and I will definitely try to get these done a lot more often. If I get enough questions, I might do once a week. If not, maybe once a month. But definitely I do want to be more consistent. So yeah, let's do the thing. I've got a new webcam, super excited about it. I'm going to start streaming soon on Twitch. I'm going to be doing my yarn porn, which you get to watch me work and create things, as well as doing like costumes and stuff like that. And then I'll also be doing gaming, which will be called Backlog to the Future, because I'm so behind in gaming that I'm basically just going to be playing stuff from years ago that I haven't gotten to yet, because I'm way behind, because I'm working all the time. So hopefully I'll be able to like carve out some time and do a stream, and you guys can watch me play things like Portal, which everyone's already played and won, and Portal 2, and I have so many games on my Steam that I just haven't even touched yet. So hopefully I'll finally get through those, and you can watch me do all the things that everyone did when they were like 5. That'll be fun. So anyway, so yeah, leave more questions, either in the comments, or follow my Twitter, or my Facebook, or my Instagram, or all of them, or email me, whatever you want to do. If you're on mygeekgoddess.com, which you should be, you can also leave me questions on the Q&A form in there. So that'll be it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope it was entertaining. I hope it wasn't terrible. I hope this webcam looks good. And that you come back later and subscribe to me. Okay, it was wonderful talking to you guys tonight. Thank you so much. Mwah!